everyone, and welcome to Inside the Heat. I'm Eric Reed. Rashard Lewis is a seasoned 15-year NBA veteran who's had several stops through his NBA career, including Seattle, Orlando, Washington, and New Orleans, before joining the Miami Heat in the summer of 2012. Drafted right out of high school, Rashard has spent his time in the NBA impacting good teams with his hard work, dedication, and three-point shooting. I recently had the chance to sit down with Rashard to discuss his basketball journey from Texas to Miami and where his love of the game all began. Rashard, let's go back to your childhood in Pineville, Louisiana. You grew up with your mom and three brothers and a twin sister. Talk about your childhood growing up.
I was born in Pineville, Louisiana, but a lot of our family lived in Beaumont, Texas, which is not that far from there. And we're just big on family. We used to just walk the streets, going from my uncle's house to our auntie's house, back to grandma's house. That was just our life when we was kids.
One of your brothers, Kia, was a very successful football player. Matter of fact, got a spot in the NFL for a short time. How did he influence you?
You know, the funny thing is, when I was growing up as a kid, I was the football player. I loved football, and he was the one that played basketball. But when we got to high school, it switched over. I became the basketball player, and he became very good at playing football.
How did you first get interested in basketball?
I grew 6 inches over the summer, coming from 8th grade, going into the 9th grade. So when I got to high school, I was like 6'9", 6'10". Just started playing more basketball because I was so tall. The coaches kind of pushed me into playing more basketball.
Talk about your move to Houston, A-Leaf, Elsick High School, where you started on the varsity as a freshman.
Being a freshman on a varsity team is very difficult because you're coming out of middle school. You're not as big and strong as a lot of the kids that's on a varsity team. But it was a good learning experience for me. It got me ahead of the game, especially early in my freshman year.
What was Rashard Lewis's game like when, you were a sophomore and a junior?
Oh man, I think that's when it took off. Being on varsity, those guys really made me improve as the year went on. By the time the summer came around, playing AU basketball, I was ready to roll and I was ready to go. And coming back my sophomore year, I had so much confidence and talent and, got bigger, a little bit stronger. I was just looking at myself every day like, man, I can really play this game.
By the time Rashard was a senior in high school, he was Mr. Basketball in Texas and the Texas Player of the Year. He was also the National High School Player of the Year, as well as the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game. Many people felt he could jump directly into the NBA, and Rashard was seriously considering it. What was the biggest influence in making your decision to opt for the NBA draft after your senior year of high school?
My whole thing was getting picked in the first round, and if I can get drafted pretty high, then I would want to pass up the opportunity. So
you're sitting there for the 1998 NBA draft and you're thinking, as the draft begins, what?
Then I'm gonna get drafted pretty high because they invited me to the draft. So if you've been invited to the draft, then you're obviously gonna be a top 15, top 20 pick.
And then the night wears on and the lottery part of the draft comes and goes. What are your memories of that draft night experience?
Oh man, it's the worst day of my life. I'm a young high school kid, teenager. Dreams of making the NBA, but it felt like my dreams have been shattered right in front of my eyes. At the draft, sitting in the back with my mom, my brothers and sisters, it was heartbreaking. If you go back and watch the draft, as the second round starts to approach, I get up and leave the table to go to the back to the restroom just because I didn't want people to see me crying on national TV. I went in the restroom and just, kind of shed some tears.
With the third pick in the second round of the NBA draft, the Seattle Supersonics select Rashard Lewis from A-Leaf Elsick High School in Houston.
And what was your initial feeling when Seattle calls your name early in the second round?
I was sitting in the restroom, didn't want to come back out. I was trying to man up, trying to get myself together. And somebody comes running in the restroom and told me, you're about to be drafted, Seattle's about to pick you, you need to come back out. So I'm sitting back there wiping my face, trying to get myself together before I go back out. So Seattle finally drafted me, called my name. That was a big release off of my shoulders because finally my dreams has come true. I've been drafted into the NBA.
Sitting through that long first round, knowing you didn't go in the first round, how do you feel about your decision now?
I will step up, play my game, and prove everybody wrong that I didn't go in the first round. And my heart is bigger than Texas. I got the biggest heart in the world, and I will show it.